Night settles over the compound like a second roof, low, heavy, deliberate. The lanterns along the walkway have already burned down to their last inch of wick, leaving the estate dim enough for the shadows to move as they please. A retainer named Shuhei steps softly across the boards, carrying the single lantern left for patrol. Its glow is the color of old amber, enough to show the edges of doors and nothing more. He does not walk this route quickly. No one ever does. These corridors are lined with rooms that even the master rarely opens. Behind each sliding door lies a sliver of the household's past duties inherited, rituals never spoken aloud, rooms kept sealed not because they are dangerous, but because they are remembered. Visitors think a samurai house is quiet because its people are disciplined. Shuhei knows better. A samurai house is quiet because its walls are listening. Tonight, the air is especially still. The wind hasn't reached this side of the estate. The paper screens hold their breath. Shuhei lifts the lantern a little higher. 5 doors ahead. 5 rooms he has walked past for 20 years and has never fully seen. Tonight, he lets himself look. In Maid After, revision. In revision. In Maiden Tappen. The first room, the ancestral shrine room. This door sits closest to the heart of the house, where the beams are oldest and the boards creak the least. The shrine room is always locked, not to keep thieves out, but to keep reverence in. The key is held by the lady of the house, except during the 7th month, when she hands it to the eldest son, who must guard it without entering. Shuhei stops 3 steps away. Even this distance smells faintly of wax and age-stale incense trapped behind a door, shut more often than opened. He knows the stories. Inside, the ancestral tablets stand arranged in precise rows, lacquered black with gold characters that shine whether or not a candle burns. Offerings sit before them: salt, rice, dried persimmon, folded paper charms. Some offerings have been replaced weekly. Others have lingered untouched because they belong to ancestors whose rituals stopped being recorded long ago. The shrine is not merely a place of honor. It is a contract. Families promise things to their dead. Serve with honesty. Keep peace in winter. Protect the village. Do not allow the grove behind the house to fall into ruin. Promises made hundreds of years earlier. Promises no one living fully remembers. Yet someone, somewhere, wrote them down, and because of that, the room must remain sealed, lest the promises drift out and remind the household of debts forgotten. Shuhei bows toward the door. He never touches it. No retainer is permitted to clean that room's floor. Dust is allowed to stay. Cobwebs remain unless the heir himself brushes them away. The shrine room belongs to the past, and the past is a tenant no one dares disturb. He moves on. The second room, the ledger room. This room looks harmless. A plain door. A simple iron latch. No fragrance of incense, only the dry smell of paper that has been aging for a century. But to Shuhei, this is the most dangerous room in the estate. The ledger room holds no swords, no armor, no heirlooms. What it contains is far sharper. Records. Shelves of bamboo-bound books, lists of retainers, household expenses, letters of incident, punishments recorded in delicate brushstrokes, decisions that ended quiet careers. One misplaced line in those ledgers could erase a retainer's position or a family's honor with the softness of a feather. Only 2 people may enter, the steward and the lord. Even the lady of the house is forbidden unless called for witness. Shuhei hears the silence behind the door, a silence drier than dust. He imagines the shelves, each ledger labeled, each brushstroke alive with judgment. Some of the books contain tears pressed flat between pages. Others contain dried ink that spattered during a confession. A few are sealed with wax and string, meant never to be opened again. The air seems thinner near this door, not because of ghosts, but because of accountability. Shuhei bows again, deeper than before. This room does not forget. No samurai fears the sword as much as he fears the written page. He walks on, lantern trembling slightly. The third room, the winter storehouse. At the rear of the estate sits a fireproof kura, a storehouse built of clay-thickened walls and black beams so wide they look like tree trunks cut in half. Its small square door is fitted with iron hinges that rarely move. The lacquered lock is heavy, cold, patient. This is the room where the family keeps what cannot burn. Most samurai houses had one, but many used them for rice or valuables. This family used theirs for memory, a room of objects that breathed shame, loyalty, triumph, and doubt all at once. Shuhei steps closer. The air around the door smells faintly of old lacquer, a sharp, bitter scent that rises like the surface of a drying river. Buried beneath that scent is something heavier, the iron tang of blades that once tasted battle. The storehouse is opened only twice a year, once at New Year, once at midsummer. Both times, the Lord enters alone with a candle and a kneeling cushion. He unwraps each object slowly, inspects it for rust, replaces the oil, recites a short prayer, and returns it to darkness. He never allows anyone else to watch, not even family. Shuhei bows with respect tinged by unease. Some rooms hold the past gently. This one holds it with a fist. He continues down the corridor. The fourth room, the confinement chamber. This door sits at the far side of the estate, behind the servants' wing. It is narrow, unadorned, and easy to overlook. But to those who work here, it is impossible to ignore. Shuhei stands before it now, lantern dimming slightly, as if the flame itself hesitates. This room has been many things. A place where a retainer awaited questioning. A place where disputes were resolved in private. A place where a wandering monk was once allowed to meditate for 3 days in silence. A place where offenders reflected on their failings before rejoining the household those permitted to return. Nothing about the room is violent, but everything in it remembers discomfort. The tatami inside is worn smooth in the center from pacing. The walls are stained where fingertips pressed for balance during long hours of waiting. The floorboards beneath the mats creak in a way that makes the stomach tighten. The air when the door briefly opens is thick with the scent of rope fibers and damp straw. Not rot, not filth, just human tension that was never quite able to leave. Shuhei feels the weight of all who sat inside, wondering what would be said to them at dawn. He bows, as always, because even a room like this deserves acknowledgement. The door remains unmoving. It has no desire to open. He moves to the final door. Havization, the fifth room, the empty room. This is the room no one names aloud. Not because it is cursed, not because it is bloody, not because it is forbidden by law, but because every man in the household understands what an empty room means. Shuhei stands before the door, lantern low, flame barely holding shape. The empty room holds nothing. No scrolls, no statues, no mats except a bare pair laid directly on the wood, no pot for incense, no cushion, no decorative alcove. Its emptiness is the point. This is the room where a samurai confronts himself. Shuhei has seen it used only twice. Both times quietly, both times with dignity that left the household shaken for weeks afterward. The room was prepared with fresh tatami, a writing desk with inkstone, and a single candle. A man would enter, kneel, breathe, write, fold his letter, and wait for the next step of his fate. The next step is never described, not in household diaries, not in oral stories, not in training manuals. The room itself absorbs that silence. Nothing harmful is shown, nothing spoken, nothing implied beyond the gravity of consequence. The emptiness carries meaning without revealing action. Tonight, as Shuhei stands there, the air feels colder than the rest of the corridor. The scent is faint cedarwood, never warmed by human presence. A stillness so complete, it strains the ears. No servant cleans this room without being explicitly ordered. No child, plays near it. Most days, even passing by, it quickens the heart. But tonight, Shuhei allows himself to study the grain of the wood, the way the candlelight bends around the frame. It is not a frightening room, just honest. It is emptiness shaped into architecture. The kind of emptiness that reflects whatever courage or fear a person brings inside. He bows longer here than anywhere else. For some rooms, silence is respect. For this one, silence is mercy. Shuhei walks back down the corridor, lantern fading as its oil burns low. He turns once more to the 5 doors. The shrine room of ancestral oaths, the ledger room of judgment, the winter storehouse of memory, the confinement chamber of reflection, the empty room of consequence. 5 ordinary doors, 5 rooms that shape the household's soul. Outside, the first bird cries. Dawn spreads across the estate like pale water poured slowly from a bowl. Shuhei extinguishes the lantern. The smoke from the wick lifts into the rafters and disappears. The house returns to silence. But Shuhei knows silence here isn't absence. It's instruction. And in the samurai household, the rooms that remain closed teach the most.